Baldy, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, Zach? What's up, fellas? How are you?
What's up? What's up?
Man, we're doing great. We got some snow here. Feels like football weather officially. And Baldy, I want to take a look back before we go forward. What did the Ravens do on offense to expose the Broncos defense really for the first time this season? And is there anything concerning for the Broncos defense moving forward, or is that just you run into Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, it's going to happen?
I mean, Lamar, I know Jared Goff is playing great. I know Mahomes' team is undefeated, but Lamar, he doesn't miss. I mean, you look at it, just a couple throws. I mean, the throw to Justice Hill out of the backfield against Jonah Ellis right there. I mean, it's just a perfect wheel route, perfect throw, sets him up for a score. The throw with, I don't know, was there less than 30 seconds to go and a half to Zay Flowers that he turned into, that monster 53. I mean, just those two throws alone, I mean, they're just darts. And you can be in good coverage. You can, have a bunch of guys around the ball. The ball it's a laser, just laser shots. And then, Derrick's the beast. And so, when they put your nose tackle, Malcolm Roach, on his backside and he gets ahead of steam going, he's hard to tackle. I mean, they had, I think I counted 15, they had 10 plays of 15 yards or more in that game. And that's what Denver has not done. They haven't given up explosive plays like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what you said about Lamar not missing throws is interesting, especially in this game where Bo had a few guys open in the end zone that he wasn't able to get the ball to.
No question.
So you have that happening, but you also, I thought, had a pretty good game from Bo otherwise. He's extending plays, he's finding some guys across the middle. I'm just wondering how you balance kind of those two things when you watch that.
Well, I mean, look, his first pass is intercepted. I mean, it's off, Humphrey's hands. It's not a perfect throw, but, those tip balls get intercepted. It's not egregious. He missed Troy Franklin. I mean, Baltimore secondary stinks. That's why they went out and traded for Tre'Davious White. I mean, they've had issues, and they still have issues. Like, you had Troy Franklin open. He got behind the corner, and he just overthrew it. He had little Jordan Humphrey in the back of the end zone. He just sailed it. I mean, he had shots. They had chances to kind of stay in that game deep into the second half, and he missed them. And those things are going to happen. But otherwise, yes. I mean, he runs at the right time. He's a really good runner. He can extend plays. There's things you could take away from it. They didn't run the ball as well as they'd like, but that's going to happen against teams that just all they do is build up their defensive front to do that and to stop that. So I thought they had some opportunities in that game. I mean, it turned out to be really ugly, but I mean, honestly, that's a 10-7 game before those two plays I talked about, deep into the second quarter. And if you hit one of those two shots, you got a ball game deep into the third quarter.
Baldy, the Broncos didn't run the ball too well last week, and they're facing another tough opponent this week. Are the Broncos just a lackluster running team? I mean, we've seen spurts of them have good games throughout the entire year, but 9 games in, is this just who the Broncos are and we're foolish to hope for more?
Well, they keep changing things up. Jaleel, starts, and Javonte, they've gone back and forth. I think it's kind of who they are. They don't have big power backs. I mean, they're both smaller guys. It's not like they can wear somebody down the way teams that have – I mean, there's only one Lamar, but, the way – Joe Mixon, the way some of these guys that are Breece Hall, these guys that are 220 pounds, I mean, they don't have guys like that can just wear teams down. They have change to pace type backs. And so I think it's kind of who they are at this point. Like, they ran the ball at times, second half against the Jets, that was really good. But I don't think they have that type of back on the offense right now.
So then, Baldy, earlier this week after Sunday's loss, Sean Payton said you can expect to see more Audric Estime, kind of the only bigger back the Broncos have, and maybe in a sizable, a much bigger role than expected. He has fumbling issues, but in the couple of carries that he has had, he's averaging 6.3 yards per carry on 15 carries. Do you think this is what the Broncos offense needs then? Is this bigger back to come in here and really not just have a couple of carries a game, but maybe to even be their lead back?
Well, if I remember correctly, I think he fumbled his first carry.
Yep.
And so I'm sure, I mean, that usually puts you on the bench if you're a rookie and you're playing for Sean Payton. But I do think you got to have somebody that's got some size and power in this business. James Conner in Arizona. You go around. Kyrie Williams is a powerful guy for the Rams. You got to have that guy who's got power. And Jalil's a great change of pace back. He's really quick. He can, he can slide through the slimmest of holes, but you constantly see him knock backwards, against bigger fronts. And you're going up against the Chiefs, nobody plays three linebackers more than the Chiefs. And when they put Leo Chenal and Drew Tranquil and Nick Bolton out there, they're hard to run against. And you better match power with power if you're going to try to run the ball. And I know Sean wants to. So it doesn't surprise me. I didn't hear the press conference, but it doesn't surprise me after that game that's what Sean decided. Like, this is one of the changes we're going to see right now.
You brought up that Chiefs defense that, top 10 in scoring, top 10 in just about anything you could look at. Is there a weakness there, or what can the Broncos do to try to have some success?
Well, they'll put three linebackers out there. Nobody plays, like I said, and they're three big. Leo Chenal, he's 250 pounds. Mm-hmm. I've seen different looks where Chenal and Tranquil are playing on the ends. They pack it inside, and they play Nick Bolton as the one linebacker, sort of the diamond look, and they'll line up on first down and say, and dare you to run it. I mean, what you ideally want to do is try to get Chenal or Tranquil in matched up in pass coverage, and that's how you get them out of that. But I know Spags, he loves Chenal. He's just trying to find ways to get him on the field. But if they're going to play that against 11 personnel, if you're in that, then you got to make one of those linebackers cover, and you got to isolate them. I mean, if Sean back in the day would put Kamara against that look, and Kamara would win. I don't know right now if he feels like if Jalil could do that or whoever, but I think you've got to throw them out of that look right now and give them more favorable matchups in the run game.
Baldy, with this defense, there's a lot of great pieces that they have, but I feel like the toughest piece for the Denver Broncos is going to be that front. Talking about Karlaftis and Chris Jones, like how the Broncos and the offensive line, how do they prepare to stop those guys?
Well, nobody can block Chris Jones. I mean, you want to put Quinn, he'll be over Quinn, but he'll find the matchup in the run game and pass game. I mean, he'll go out against you. If he thinks McGlinchey's a weak link, he's going to go line up on McGlinchey. He's going to go wherever he can win, and he's got that freedom to do it. But that's good size. It's good power against power. Quinn against Chris Jones. He's seen him before. I mean, they did go up there and beat Kansas City last year. I know they forced Mahomes into 2 interceptions. I think they took it away 5 times. I think McMillan, popped one out. I mean, that's the best way to do it is if you can get turnovers in short fields and you're not having to deal with some of those monsters inside because they are tough to move and they are very good against the run.
So, Baldy, how do the Broncos come away with an upset? They're, again, 9.5-point underdogs against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have only beaten 2 teams by double digits this year, so the Chiefs are pretty much in every game. How do the Broncos overcome the hurdle that no team's been able to overcome and actually beat the Chiefs in this game?
Well, they had won 6 in a row, when Denver went up there last year and beat them and, finally got that monkey off their back because they had been on there since Mahomes was there. So they did it by taking the ball away, and they forced some fumbles, and so, if Kareem Hunt is going to try and fight for every extra yard out there right now, it'd be good if somebody punched it out, that would help. Their red zone woes, and they've had some, where it looked like they got healed last week, especially, throwing it to Nuke out there, and coming away with touchdowns, but it'd be good if they had a good matchup against DeAndre, and not let him get into those routes that he did. So, and Kelce has got 28 targets in the last 2 games. He's caught 20 passes. That the ball's going to Kelce and it's going to go to Nuke. So, I think Vance has to kind of mix things up here a little bit. They can't just let Kelce just keep getting into these routes. They're isolating him right now. They're running 2 receiver routes and getting him the ball. He's got 20 catches for 190 yards and a touchdown in the last 2 games. So things have changed a lot since Nuke got there. So, Nuke is the red zone guy right now, and Kelce is the guy that they're going to. I don't think that they have to worry about Xavier Worthy. He hasn't done much. But that's who I would concentrate, who I'd build my game plan around, trying to stop right now.
Going back to Hopkins, is that what is he at this point in his career? Do you still worry about the deep ball, or at somebody his age, is it all just the quick in-breaking routes, 10 yards down the field max?
Well, his first big catch, 3 days after they signed him was, a 15-yard out on fourth down on timing. Like, already Mahomes has good timing with him. I think a lot of it is just his size. He's a big X out there. He can play low post basketball with the best of them. He knows how to shield his body against smaller defensive backs. Like, I don't know, seems like that'd be a perfect guy for Surtain to go up against right now and see what he can do to try to shut him down.
Baldy, we're sitting here talking about what decisions we would make as defensive coordinators going up against the Denver Broncos. And for me, I say I would double Cortland. If you beat me with anybody else, then you had a good game. If the Chiefs come out and double Cortland, what is the Broncos' answer, in your opinion? What would they need to do to win the game?
Well, I mean, if they're going to, I don't know if they need to take two to shut down Cortland. I mean, he's a big guy that doesn't have much speed, but they are looking for him. I mean, Troy Franklin, I don't know, I'm waiting for him to sort of pop. I mean, we're looking for that Oregon connection to really, hit. I thought it might really hit a little bit more frequently than it is right now. I don't know. Spags is always going to mix things up. He's never going to give you just a steady dose of anything. He's going to get free hitters to Bo Nix. He's probably on third downs going to find a way to spy Bo Nix, so he can't just pull it down and run like he did against the Ravens. And who that guy is, I mean, you got to have a guy that's at least as fast as Bo Nix. And I think, Nick Bolton is that guy. I mean, he can really fly. So, I mean, I think they're going to have an answer to spy on him. And then, I think if you look at a guy like McDuffie, I can see McDuffie taking on, one-on-one Cortland Sutton right now. They have no problem matching him up against anybody right now.
Baldy, last one for you, and I'm going to take a big picture approach with this one. Going into this Ravens game, Broncos country kind of felt like this was a big test point for the Broncos to see where they are this season. After the loss, feels like Broncos country's kind of taken a step back and said, okay, this year, not competing for a deep playoff run, but you take a step back. Broncos are still the 7th seed in the AFC. They're still in the line for a playoff spot. So I think Broncos country's kind of saying, we think this is a playoff team, maybe not a team making a deep run. Are we too optimistic here in Broncos country? Do you think this is a playoff team, a team that can actually make the playoffs?
Well, if you took any team in this league, forget about the Broncos for 1 second, Zach. If you took any team in this league and you said, okay, we got back-to-back games in Baltimore and Kansas City. I mean, every team. I don't care if you're the Eagles, if you're San Francisco. I mean, if you're Detroit, if you could get a split on the road against those two teams, you'd feel good. So the Broncos aren't in that category of Detroit, and some of these other teams right now. But this is a tough stretch for any team in this league. And so you want to play better than you did last week. You don't want to give up as many explosive plays. You like to get it into the fourth quarter. I'm not saying you're looking for any moral victories. You're not. You've shown that you can go to Kansas City and win. They're coming off a short week, an emotional win, overtime, win like that. Maybe you catch them napping a little bit. This is just tough. I still think they can be a playoff team. The Chargers are out there. They feel the same way. I still think they can be a playoff team regardless of what happens this week. But it's just a tough stretch for anybody. These are maybe the two best teams in AFC, period. I think they're on a collision course for the postseason. Maybe you could throw Buffalo in there. You might want to throw maybe Houston if they get healthy. But, I mean, to me, they look like the two best teams in AFC.
And just like that, Baldy, Broncos country's feeling better because of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And enjoy these next set of games, and we'll talk to you next week. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys, you bet, man. I'll talk to you next week. Enjoy it.